Okay, good afternoon, fourth graders. Welcome to chapter 5. And I am so excited to start this one because we're going to really get into those two-digit multiplications. So this lesson is all about multiples of 10, and we've talked about that before. So if you look on your screen, you're going to see it says, how do basic facts help you multiply by a multiple of 10? So how do you know something is a multiple of 10? So think about that for just a second. And usually you know because it's got a 0 at the end. Okay? So you can use basic facts to help you. So if I had, let's see, maybe I had 3 times 10. Okay? You know that the answer is just going to be a 3 with the 0 at the end. That's going to give you 30. Okay? Now you can do the same with 3 times 100. You just add that extra 0. And we've talked about that several times this year. So we're going to go on. And it says, explain how you would find 23 times 30. So I want you to basically think of those basic facts. Okay? So what I'm going to do when I do this one is I'm going to use what's called the associative property. You probably remember this with addition. So instead of taking 23 times 30, instead I'm going to do 23 times 3 because we just learned how to do that on our test, on our chapter 4 test. We know how to do that. And then what I'm going to do after that is I'm going to times the answer by 10. Okay? So let's try doing 23 times 3. Okay? So 23 times 3. The first thing I'm going to do is multiply the ones place. So 3 times 3 is 9. So I'm going to have 9 here. And then I'm going to do the tens place. 3 times 2, or 3 times 20, really. And that's going to be 6. So my answer is 69. So when I've got my associative property going, I have 23 times 3, and then times that by 10. Okay, I know 23 times 3 is 69. So now I have 69 times 10. And my basic facts tell me that when I multiply anything times 10, I'm just adding a 0 at the end. So if that's true, then 69 times 10, I'm going to put a 0 behind 69. And what does that give me? If I put a 0 at the end of 69 times 10, it's going to give me 690. Now that's not so bad, is it? That's not bad at all. So let's go on. I'm going to go to the next one. We're going to go on in your book to the Math in My World section. And that is going to be on page 279. So please turn in your math book or your e-book to page 279. It actually needs to be turned there if you don't have a book. I believe we've got some packets for you if you need one. But please turn to 279. If you need to pause this video to turn to it, go ahead and pause it. I'm going to go on. Example 1 says, Miss Rita took 20 pictures at the zoo. She printed the pictures so that each of her 25 students could have a copy. That's nice. So how many pictures did Miss Rita print? So they want you to find 25 times 20. Now the number 20 is a multiple of 10. We know that because it's got a 0. Okay, so one way you could do this is use properties. So you can think of 20 as what times 10? What times 10 equals 20? It's going to be 2. It's going to be 2. So 2 times 20 is how you can think of that. So they've got 25 times 20. That's the same thing as 25 times 2 times 10. You can write that in your book. Okay. So it's the same thing as 25 times 2 times 10. Okay? So let's see. Then they've got you doing 25 times 2 times 10. So we know that 25 times 2, because what they're doing is they're putting an arrow next to that. They're putting this like little imaginary arrow over there. So they're doing 25 times 2 first. Okay, so 5 times 2 is 0. Or I'm not 0, but 10. I'm going to put that 0 in the ones place. And then 2 times 2 is 4, plus that 110, so that's going to be 50. So it's already written there for you. Now you have 50 times 10. Okay? Now, 5 times 10 is 50. And then we're going to need to add that extra 0. So how many pictures has Miss Rita printed? She's printed 500 if you add that extra 0. Okay, now there's another way to do that. And yes, again, that was the associative property I told you guys about earlier. So if I go on to another way, they're calling this use paper and pencil. And it says, and this one's a little bit different. This is going to be new to you. So it's going to be multiply the ones first. They have that in red. Okay, so the ones, that's going to be 0 ones times 25. So what is 0 times 25? Anything times 0 is 0. Okay. Now, next up, we have to multiply the tens. Okay. So 25 times 20. So that's 2 tens times 25. Okay. So 2 tens times 25. We just figured out that that's 50 or 500 when we add it all up. We're going to talk about that one more when we come and meet in our small group, but you can do it either way you'd like. Okay? So what I want you to do is I want you to keep practicing that, listen hard in your groups, and make sure you have a growth mindset about this because it's a little different. I'll talk to you guys later.